And we're live.
Hello, hello, everyone. We were having quite the chat before we logged on, so we're confident that we're going to bring some good energy to you today.
Yeah, I think what I have realized is that Brooke and I can talk. I think we already had talk for like almost 30 minutes before we started recording. I'm like, you know what? This is actually a nice way. So we can build a
Yeah,
rhythm and just take that conversation forward and just have a natural conversation. So thank you for
I
doing that.
agree. I'm so excited. And we learned just a couple minutes ago, we learned together that today is Earth Day. And Earth Day has, kind of a reputation for being corny, but I think it's so incredibly important when we think about our beautiful Earth and its resources, because resources is such a big topic. And I know in your world, when you think about resources, formerly people just talked about money or perhaps their home or their car.
Yeah,
But resources is so much bigger than that.
it is, right? 'Cause I think all of us are born
Mhm.
with set of resources. Now we can expand on them or we can deplete on them, right?
Mhm.
So I think when we were talking about what does resources really mean, I think it could mean a lot of different things. But if you categorize them, your mental capacity, right, your physical
Mhm.
capacity, your relationship capacity, your financial capacity, and your purpose capacity, it's the five
Mhm.
things that we've built our whole company on. Is basically
Mhm.
the set of resources you have. Now, you could subdefine it to 1,000 different parts, or you can abstract it to two or three, but essentially it comes down to three or five of these.
Yeah.
We all have limited capacity on that, and like we have done, we and I say we as human beings.
Mhm.
When I reflect back on Earth itself and just talk about oil, forget about everything else. The
Mhm.
amount of time it took Mother Earth to produce oil and the amount of time it's taking us to extract it, it's completely disproportionate. Now, I'm not no
Oh,
judgment.
it's so
I
disproportionate.
drive, I drive a conventional car. I'm not saying I'm good or bad, but it's a point of reflection, right?
Mhm.
But we're also doing the same. It's easy to say about that because it's at a macro level. But what are we doing at the
Right.
micro level? We may not be able to change whether our car consumes diesel, gasoline, battery. We can make a decision to buy it, but we can't force the world. But what are we doing internally? Internally,
Mhm.
we're wasting the resources, right? We are
Mhm.
spending time with people who we shouldn't be spending time because we know they're toxic for us, right? But we're trying to
Mhm.
beat them because there's an insecurity that's acting out. Same thing
Right.
with money. We're trying to either run after money or run away from the money. We're running after money because we're trying to say that if I have X amount of money, my life would be perfect. Or we're saying money is the root of all evil. I don't want money, right? It's
Mhm.
whatever the story you have. We're not categorizing our resources. We're not taking inventory of those resources. We're just haphazardly acting out. And there's those resources are getting depleted. Right, that's really where
Mhm.
I think you and I, when we were talking about
Yeah.
what should we talk about today, and we were talking about Earth Day, it couldn't be an opportune time to talk about how do you use your resources well? What do you do with them? And then how
Mhm.
can you maximize it in your own way? Doesn't mean I got
Mm.
to copy Brooks' way. Brooks' way is going to be a different way. I got to figure out what my way of optimization is. And then let's figure out
Mhm.
what to do with that.
We were having an interesting talk about health, right? Because health is one of those resources that everybody thinks it's going to be infinite and I'm just going to be healthy my whole life. When in reality, we can prematurely deplete our health. We can abuse ourselves for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And guess what that takes to reverse? A lot of money.
Yeah.
And so, preventative health care and the type of work that your wife is doing, which I would love for you to tell everybody about, the type of work that your wife is doing is so important to keep ourselves healthy because that's a resource we have to manage well. We have to.
Yeah, so thank you for asking that question because I think it's a great point. Now, before I say that, I'm going to put a big disclaimer. I am supportive of modern medicine. My wife's supportive of modern medicine, but we also are aware that there's a different role to play. The medicine that we have today, the medicine system that we have today in the world, the modern medicine, it's
Mhm.
really about curing a symptom, right?
Mhm.
Um, b- um, I have a lot of family. My wife's family's side of the family is all doctors, and they've told me that when you go to a doctor, they are only trained to ask one question: "What are your top three problems?" What do you want? What is one problem you want us to fix? That's it.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's become an industry, and they're if they're not pumping more people into that industry, they're getting penalized. That's really the
Mhm.
incentive model. I'm not saying modern medicine is good or bad. So we have to
Like
understand
most things, it's really neutral.
it's neutral, correct? It's really how people, but it has a very important role. And if you watch the last sit down with Saket, we talked about my father-in-law's condition. I'm very thankful
Mhm.
for the modern medicine because he's right now at home recovering. It's a long recovery, but if there was no modern medication, it wouldn't have been addressed. However,
Mhm.
on the flip side, what about prevention, right? What is the preventative way to do it? And this is where, at least in India, there's a modality called Ayurveda, which has been ancient. I would say thousands of year old.
Mhm.
Now, it's uh, you could you could see a lot of different conflicts in this modality, but let's
Okay.
keep an open mind. Let's talk about the modality really quick. That modality, the entire modality, has been built upon how to live a life so you don't get sick, and if you get sick,
Mhm.
you can recover from it faster, right?
Mhm.
You can prevent sickness, but if you do, your
Yeah.
health is in the optimum shape that you're able to rebound faster, right? The whole
Mhm.
the whole system is built on that. And I'm the one, and of course, it can come from me because I've lived both lives. I was a chain smoker, so I never cared for my health. To now, we're coming back to starting Brooke for last 7 months. I haven't had a
Mhm.
single sip of alcohol except a few days ago, because I was forced to I put myself knowingly in a situation where I had to. But regardless,
Right.
no judgments on my end for anyone's lifestyle because I'm not perfect either. But it's because everything starts with your body is built pure
Mhm.
when you're born. For
Mhm.
most of us, now some are not that
Right.
fortunate. Most of
Right,
us,
but prayerfully, you're born healthy.
right? So that's the goal of life. If the life can't be born correct, why would life be born? Kind of like think about that way on a macro scale. That you
Mhm.
wanna the world's nature gave us the ability to procreate, to expand.
Right.
So, and the expansion will only happen with a life that can thrive. If the
Mhm.
life can't, in a very macro level, right?
Right,
So,
right, right.
if at the macro level life can't thrive, why would nature want to have that life?
Mhm.
So, arguably saying, most of us were born healthy.
Right.
Unfortunately, along the way, we lose our sight of being health because health is not prioritized, right?
Mhm.
Either because, again, lack of resources, either we didn't have the money, or parents were working very hard, or they didn't have the knowledge. It's all about resources,
Mhm.
sometimes monetarily, sometimes not monetarily. So the Ayurveda lifestyle, when my wife went through it, it's really talking about what you do, how you start your morning,
Mhm.
how you what are some of the routines you have to follow in the morning, and if you follow them every morning, it's like brushing your teeth. Doesn't
Yep.
take much time, but it's like, remember, for all of us, our moms and dads
Yep.
forced us to brush our teeth, and now we realize that if we didn't brush our teeth, you can't talk to somebody else. Leave aside your teeth are probably not going to be having a life of its own.
Yeah.
Your tooth is going to get decayed, but it's the same thing. It's set of practices in the morning, not too hard.
Mhm.
It's not like it's going to take you 3, 4, 5 hours of meditation. It's really short amount of time. Then when you start your day, what do you eat? How do you eat it?
Mhm.
In what state of mind do you eat it? What do you not eat?
Mhm.
What do you not combine your food with? What are the two things you don't want to eat together because it creates more toxicity in the body? To then, how do you live your afternoon? How do you live your evening? How do you go to sleep? Simple.
Mhm.
Like, if you think about it, all of us are doing that in a very
Yeah.
mechanical form, where you get up.
Mhm.
I am addicted, as I've already accepted. I'm addicted to YouTube shorts. So first thing come, now I'm being conscious about it. So I'm doing it lesser, but I'm still doing it.
Good.
Right. So you start a day, we become on autopilots. Get up, brush your teeth, do whatever we need to do. Go down, put a cereal, put a coffee. We don't even think.
Mhm.
We do not even think. And now we complain 10 years down the road that we're sick, and we don't know why we're sick, or life's not fair. And I'm sorry, I don't know how to turn that thumb sign off. Some
We're
animation
just
built
gonna
up.
go with it.
We'll go with it.
Yeah.
So her understanding of the modality started for a very selfish reason, for herself and her family. And the stuff that's been telling me about what's been available in the Indian system of medicine. Oh, and I grew up in it. And she grew up in the US for the context. She did not grow up in India. She grew up in the US, and she has to go back and learn Sanskrit, which I learned, but I didn't pay attention to because it was so easy for me because it was there, right? Now she's learning it, and the kind of stuff that she's been telling me that if you do X, Y, and Z in the morning, it's going to dramatically alter your life, right? Again, I knew it intellectually, but now that I have a scientific reasoning, or at least logical reasoning, I should say, because I don't think there's a scientific proof. It's at least it's not been documented. But when she's telling me, I've been practicing it for last 1 or 2 weeks. Oh my God, drastically. Yesterday was the first day where I could not sit down because I had so much energy,
Wow.
enough energy.
And she's
I
keeping you
cleaned.
accountable to this.
She's keeping it accountable, right? So my office was a mess. I cleaned the entire office. We had piles and piles of paperwork. Everything's gone. AC filters not being changed for 30 days. Done. I'm like, done, done, done. We sat down to talk. I'm like, I can't sit. I need to work. I need to do something because I have so much energy. It's
Yeah.
been a long time since I felt that way. And the only thing that has changed, Brooke, is those few things that I've incorporated in my life, which took me literally 5 minutes in the morning. Didn't even take that much, right? So it's possible for us to connect with ourselves, and it's not a mental voodoo. It's not like journaling. It's not about thinking positive thoughts. It's not about all of that stuff. It's literally do stuff that you're going to do anyways. Breathe a certain way. You're going to breathe anyways. Breathe differently.
We hope you breathe.
We hope you breathe
Please
correct,
breathe, everyone.
because make sure that that resource is very important. Make sure you do use that
Air
resource.
is a great example of a
Yeah.
resource.
So I don't know if I answered your question, Brooke.
You did, and I think health, just like we mentioned, is just it's a great example. And another example of this is I know that sometimes I'll convince one of my family members to go biking or swimming or something with me. And they're low energy when they begin and they're maybe a little grumbly, they're not feeling like it. But when they're done, there's that renewed sense of life and there's that heightened sense of joy and emotion and feeling. And I
Correct.
know you said your daughters keep you accountable as well.
They do. I think we're holding each other accountable now because
Good.
sometimes they just want to watch TV. My fault, not my wife's. But we have built a routine now. Given my wife's full time in school right now, so most of the week she's out in Asheville, North Carolina. I tell her that you just wanted a break from the families, but she didn't. She's studying very hard. So we're like, you know what? Saturdays and Sundays, because we have this moment to reinvent ourselves, because we have this void of another person in our life that we need to figure out what to do with that void. We're like, you know what? Let's just, I started as more of a fun thing that let's go walk. But the walk wasn't fun. I can't just walk. Let's pick a hiking trail. So it's a little bit more challenging. It's a little bit more where we're not just walking. We're getting some physical exercise as well.
Right. And you're
So
experiencing nature, just like we
nature,
talked about for Earth Day, which is so beautiful.
correct. And for us, so the most important thing was we need to go to places where the cell phones don't work. Otherwise, I'm going to be on YouTube Shorts. So this has been
He's
our
walking and he's scrolling YouTube
walking is
shorts.
they are the I think I side topic. I think YouTube Short is the best invention that YouTube had for itself, not for others,
Okay.
because it's so amazingly easy. I was doing
Yeah.
that. This is what tells you, Brooke, I'm so addicted. I was watching a long form video and I was doing this. I'm like, okay, enough. I need to get to the next video. I need to get to the next
Well,
video, right?
I'll agree with you that they're pretty addictive.
Very addictive. So my goal for this year is I'm gonna get completely off of it. I will. So our routine now is every Saturday, depending on what's happening on the weather. Either we'll do early in the morning or in the afternoon. It's approximately 6 mile hike,
That's good.
and it takes us about 3 to 4 hours. We take some snacks with us in the beginning, and then we make the picnic out of it towards the end. And it's just our time. Some of my friends wanted to come along. I'm like, nope, this is my time. We can do Saturday, another one, but we're not sharing Saturday. Saturday, we can do Sunday if you wanted to. I don't mind doing one more, but we're not sharing that time because it's so precious. It's we're just talking, and the stuff that they're sharing with me on those talks walks. Oh my god, I can never hear those. Right, just in their
Mhm.
interaction, I can watch their interaction. I can learn more about how competitive they are, that they want to beat
Mhm.
me, or they want, or where they're not feeling safe, that they're leaning on me. Why don't you walk in the front and then you can hold my hand? I want to cross something. It's just a beautiful way of
Mhm.
trying to observe each other and reconnect with each other.
Mhm.
Now it's not that rosy that I'm telling you. It's not that. It's always
No,
not
guys,
sweet.
he told me earlier sometimes they argue on these hikes, which is just as renewing and it's just as precious a time.
It actually, I would say that that's the best part of those conversations because those
Yeah.
arguments you can't run away from, right?
Mhm.
You're stuck with each other. You have to talk it out. You
Yes,
have
you
to.
do.
There's no other way out. And the more you talk, I tell my wife and my kids, the only way to resolve an argument is to, when in calm mode, talk about them.
Right.
Because if you don't go depth of the argument, you can't fix it. And if the relationship is important, you have to ask. I think I've talked to you about, and we were in Costa Rica, and my older daughter and I had a major argument or something very stupid. They always are stupid, but we
Yeah.
ended up
Well,
talking.
there's a deeper problem there.
We talked for like 3 hours, right? Which was then after that, I realized what was going on is because the way I talked to her triggered something that she had felt at school, right? It was just bringing her memories back. And that's what's happening. So on the hikes, what we really like about is talk about random stuff. Once in a while, something will hit a chord bad. Most of the
Mhm.
times they're okay. But sometimes they're like, you always do this to me. Okay, well, let's have a conversation about it. But our
And that
younger one's
goes to
always,
that time. That time is a finite resource too.
oh my God. My younger one always
Mm.
says, both of you are beautiful. She's saying this to me and my daughter. I told her, both of you are beautiful. Both of you are right. Let's just not get along and move on. Oh my god.
She's convicting you.
She is, she is. But you're
Yeah.
right, the time is important there, right? Because we could continue arguing or holding it in and hating the other person, or we could just say that this relationship is important. That time that we have in that relationship with other is very important and is very finite. So
Mhm.
how can we optimize it? If there's a way to optimize. Sometimes you just have to kill a relationship because no matter how much you
Right.
talk, it's not gonna work. We're not there
Yeah.
yet. Maybe one day we'll get there. Hopefully never. But
No, let's hope that never happens to you
yeah,
guys, but in people can use their own discernment. Usually, it's very, very, very clear if you need to cut a relationship off.
correct, correct, correct.
I think it's so important for people to know when they're taking an inventory of resources that they want to preserve, resources that they want to take care of and look after really, really well. Write that down. Be very, very intentional. Um, Take today or any day of your choosing to just really say, I haven't been optimizing my health. I haven't been optimizing my time or my relationships or whatever it is. Here's 3 or 4 ways that moving forward, I am going to do that.
Right. No, I think that's a very valid point because unless you write it down, I think we've talked about that in the previous sit
We have,
downs that you really, really, really need to articulate it. It could be on
yes,
paper, it could be on board, it could be with an accountability partner.
you could write a
You
tattoo
need
on yourself. There's a million ways to do it.
well, don't do that because you may change your mind tomorrow and then you won't
I
ever
know a
take the
guy that
tattoo
got an
out.
accountability tattoo.
Oh, he did? Okay, great. Perfect. Actually, that's not bad. Accountability tattoo
Not
is
too bad.
okay. But my dream is to do this. That dream's gonna
Yeah.
change. Hopefully, that's not tattooed on anything.
Hopefully that changes, but write it down. Get real about what you want. And you might want to take one area of your life, focus on that resource, building that resource up, and then focus on the next one and the next one and the next one so that you're not overwhelmed.
There was an exercise I did. I have multiple times.
Mhm.
I'll try to walk you through
Yeah.
verbally and see if it makes visual sense. So you know how you have a wheel, like
Yes.
any a bicycle wheel, it has a hub and a spoke model. So
Mhm.
think about your life as a hub and spoke model. Your life is
Mm.
you. It's literally you at the center, and your
Mhm.
spoke is the different dimensions in life. And we'll talk about five
Yeah.
or six. They could be more. However you want to define it, that's okay. So let's say you have health as one dimension, your relationship is another, your finance is another, and your purpose is another. We'll keep it simple. Four.
Right.
On a score of 1 to 10, 1 being closest to the hub, which is you, to the center, with 10 being the farthest away. So 10 being most optimized, and 1 being very self centric. So you want to talk
Right.
about your health. And when you say your health, I want to look at your health as not just for you. We talked about it during last sit down, where when you're unhealthy, you're not the only one suffering. The caretaker is suffering more than you, right? Because they don't have a choice. They have to take care of you because they love you. So think
Mhm.
about now when you're ranking 10, that's what's farthest away, 10 being the best. That how is your health doing? Finances, same way, with 1 being closest to you or 0 to 10 being in your mind, is it the most optimal? Do it that, and then join the scores that you have. If it's
Mm.
not if it's not a perfect circle, the visual I want you to do is imagine the same shape of wheel is in your car and you're driving that car with that wheels. How is that ride going to be? It's not going to be
Yeah.
smooth, right? It's going to be
Absolutely not.
there are going to be moments of smoothness, but most of the car ride is going to be bumpy. You
Mhm.
want to have a smooth car ride. So you want to have as close to optimal. Now that does not mean you bring all the scores to 0. That's not optimal. We want to maximize our score and we want to bring a balance to all the scores to make sure everything is operating at our maximum ability. And I can guarantee you, if you hit 10 today, that's going to be your 0 tomorrow.
Right.
So it's an ever evolving goal, right? I want to make sure that you understand that there's no perfection, because the moment you hit your six pack, you're going to try and, if we're talking about health for now,
Mm.
the moment you hit your six pack, something else about you want to improve in your health, right? It's ever evolving. So just kind of figure that out for you. What does 10 mean for you? And be honest of to inventory where you are, and then let's figure out a way to bridge from wherever you are to wherever you need to be. And if you're giving yourself 10 on everything, you're not being honest with yourself. I think
Yeah.
even if you give a 10 on one, you're not being honest with yourself, because chances of us being 10 is very slim. That means your goal is not being pushed hard. You need to think, really, is that really what it means, right? And maybe you'll surprise yourself. Maybe you are 10. I'm not to say, in my encounter with my people that I work with, or my investors, or my mentors, I've never seen a 10. But
Right.
that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I've never seen it.
And if you are a 10, book a call with him. He'd love to meet you. And
Oh,
I
I
know
would love to
that's
meet you. Like,
something
tell me how you did 10.
he would like to
I wanna
learn
know
from
this.
you. I know it's really been on your heart and your mind recently to do more calls with people, right? To really learn where you can be of service and where you can help optimize, whether it's their finances or their health or their relationships, whatever it is. Because it's so easy to look at you and say, oh, well, Saket can optimize my finances. And that's very true. But there's so much more. So tell people what's on your heart to share with them.
Yeah, I think I've been fortunate and unfortunate. A lot of things that have happened in my life, not most of them not to my liking. But I think that's the unfortunate part. The fortunate part is to have the intelligence to pause and reflect on those. That's the fortunate part. Because I also see a lot of people living the life where when something bad happens, be more of a victim and then curse the creator and the creation. Right? That happens. I'm not, again, no judgment, but I think I have been fortunate either because of my upbringing or my partner that I'm with, my wife, where we've always reflected on those. Now, I'm not saying we don't have the moments of weakness. We do too. But most of it on the macro level, we've been more reflective. So I have gained so much insights about my life that I think when I start talking to somebody else and when they're sharing with me and I bring an example, it's not like their problem's going to get fixed, but they get inspired because somebody else has been in that
Mhm.
situation, or they have an insight or learning from their experience that, or my experience, that I'm able to share with them. And it, again,
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be finances, right? I mean, of course, finances is
Right.
something I'm very good at. and I again feel very blessed for being in that position. But it's everything else is mind. I mean, you know that I've spent 15, not 15, 2 years in a monastery in India.
Yes.
So that's the only thing I've focused on myself. To now, we're trying to make sure that whatever lessons I have learned, people don't have to live and make the same mistakes is wrong word, live the similar hard life. There
Yes.
is an easier path,
Hardships or struggles.
hardships or struggles, right? You don't have to go quit everything, sell everything, move into a 6 by 6 room in a monastery. You don't have to. Now, we enjoyed it. Both me and my wife, we loved it. But that's not a path for everyone. But there are lessons from that journey where people can draw upon, right? And it could just be a starting point. Doesn't mean it's an end point. So that's really where I'm hoping that the more I can talk to people, I can draw parallels from my life. And the goal is going to be that hopefully that individual that we're having a conversation with is going to inspire 50 others, because I cannot
Mhm.
change the entire world. But if we can inspire one person who can inspire one more, who can inspire one more, we have a chain reaction, right? And that's what it's all
Mhm.
about. It's not about Saket having his dent in the universe. No, I don't. That's not the goal. The goal is how can I make one person's life better through my experiences? And hopefully I can.
Mhm.
That's the goal. Hopefully that helps.
And I know that you're offering 30-minute or is it 20-minute calls,
It's
correct?
a
And
30
just give
minute
a
call.
little insight
30.
into how people can book that with you.
And the reason for 30 minutes is that I talk a lot.
Yeah.
I'm realizing it. So I want to make sure that there's enough time for those conversations where the conversations are meaty enough. But of course, also I can't do many calls. So the calls are 2 to 3 calls a week, right? So I would love and encourage people, if you think you have a burning desire to having something in your life, somebody who's not going to judge you. Chances are, if you're listening to this, I may not even know you, and if I don't, that's perfect, right? So give a call, set up a call. We'll make sure the link for the call is included in the comments below. So feel free. We really thought about doing this um, impromptu. Uh, so next time I'll make sure there's a QR code here on the sit downs with sockets you can scan and whatever. We'll make it tech enabled, but for now we're gonna go old school. We're gonna include a
Yeah.
link for the conversation. So if you can and if you want to, feel free to join. I can promise you from my end, no judgment, no lecturing, and I'm just going to share what I think I'm hearing in a way that I'm understanding and relate my experience in that if I have one and what I did. And if it's going to help you, great. If not, you just made a new friend.
Exactly. So it's a low pressure, there's no cost to it. Go book a call and you'll see, and he can help you rate these. And if he finds a 10, he's going to give you a gold star.
We're going to come. We're going to go. You're going to be having this conversation with me if you're a 10
Yes.
in any field. So that'd be amazing because I want to
Yes, he
share
would
that.
love to meet a 10 in one of these areas. As we wrap up, is there anything you want to say that people should know?
I think it's the reflection on the Earth Day, right? So I don't want you to go
Mhm,
celebrate Earth Day because you should be. I think it's more a lot of these celebrations to me are reminders of
mhm,
reflecting internally, of consider your body as the earth, Mother Earth.
mhm,
How are you abusing that body? How are you abusing the resources the body has given you? Right?
mhm,
I think we'll make a world a better place, Earth a better place to live if we can actually take care of this body. And I'm a hypocrite. I am not taking care of my body either. So I'm going to promise you, I'll reflect on that as well. But that's really one thing I would say is that it's a good reminder. So don't
yes,
waste it. Instead of going out and giving away carbon credits, give yourself credit for who you are, acknowledge it, be honest, and then see where the life goes.
Ooh, I love that. That was a good soundbite, the perfect thing to end our chat with. Well, as always, we had a good chat and it went in a direction we never could have anticipated.
Never do,
Because
right?
who knew? We learned it was Earth Day and we're glad for it.
Yeah, no, thank you again for joining. I know most of you are listening to this offline. Please don't make that be the reason you don't touch base. And of
Mhm.
course, you know what? Brooke has been amazing. If you think Brooke's going to help you, book a call with Brooke. Uh, whoever can help you amongst the two of us, we are only doing
Yeah.
it to spread our own insights. There's really no reason for us to do it. There's nothing to sell. There's nothing to sell.
Mhm. Yes. So enjoy your Earth Day. Take care of yourself. Love yourself. Drink some water, everybody, to take good care of your health.
Yeah.
And we will see you next week. And who knows what we'll plan for you then. But if you have any suggestions, comments, concerns, ideas, drop them in the comment below. We want to hear from you.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.